Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
With Uber Reserve, you can book your Uber ride in advance, 90 days in advance. Perfect for all you forward thinkers and planning gurus. Reserve your Uber ride up to 90 days in advance. Uber Reserve. See Uber app for details.
Hey everyone, welcome to Spin Shuffle Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Now, it wasn't that long ago that Lyle Robichaud was here on the show. We were talking about the Ready to Rumble soundtrack, and as I thought it would, we ended up going down many wrestling rabbit holes during that conversation. So let's continue that trend. First of all, Lyle Robichaud's back on the show. Lyle, welcome, man. How you doing?
Always happy to be in the chair across from you, Jason. I can't wait, especially when we're talking wrestling things. All of my favorite things come to a point in these episodes.
Oh, hells yes. And we really can't get around this one because we are talking about the debut and only CD from Mr. John Cena. You Can't See Me. Okay, you're the one who brought this album to the show. So I'm going to ask you, how many times have you spun this before prepping for the show?
When I was a kid and this came out, it was like the coolest thing to ever happen, because here's the thing, and I'm going to preface everything we're about to talk about. This is a good album. This is a good rap album for the time. Unironically, not like the Randy Savage album where it was terrible and he was just venting his dirty laundry. Cena actually has some chops. So I've played this several times. Some of the songs off of this album are still on a workout playlist and will be there forever.
Yeah, I mean, those of you who remember John Cena's kind of early shtick was very much like the rapper of the WWE. And he proved that he had the chops to kind of back it up. But it also helps, too, that his cousin is the trademark who worked on this CD with him. So, you know, there's a little bit of music in the family.
Yeah, 100%. He was always kind of involved in the culture, too, from West Newbury, Massachusetts, basically the Boston rap scene. He grew up in it. And funny enough, I actually had this story ready. The way he got into WWE and kind of broke and became this huge character and eventually the face of the company for like 20 years. There was a Halloween episode of SmackDown, and he dressed as Vanilla Ice and did a joke rap to Stephanie McMahon. And it was so entertaining that Vince McMahon was like, we're going to make that's your character. Like, you did that so good, I want you to do that every week, which spun into this new character for him and eventually led to, you know, global superstardom and almost being The Rock.
I was going to say, how do you go from like a really good heavy rap album to Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Yeah, it's an interesting jump. He's an interesting guy, though. He's very strange. He's really good. And like he's granted like 700 Make-A-Wishes. Great person, but very strange cat when you see like all the stuff that comes out about like his quirks and things.
I mean, like we could say the same thing about relief pitchers and goaltenders.
It's true.
If we're
it's
talking
true.
sports, but yeah, we're talking John Cena's album, You Can't See Me. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this album and we're going to pick 3 songs each: a spin, a shuffle, and a skip. The spin clearly holds the championship belt on the disc. The shuffle is at least the number one contender, and the skip, well, you got counted out at that point. The album was released May 10th, 2005, and peaked at number 3 on the U.S. rap album charts, number 10 on the Billboard R&B and hip hop charts, and number 15 on the Billboard 200. It also charted in Australia, Italy, and the UK. There were 3 singles off of this one, including his entrance music, My Time Is Now, Bad Bad Man, and Right Now. And right now, I can just picture people looking at the cover of the podcast episode, hear that we're talking about John Cena, and they hear the entrance music.
Oh, yeah. That's famous. It's been memed to death. It really has kind of taken on a life of his own since he began using it as his theme music. And that was in the early 2000s, I think, because before then he had a very bare bones rap track called Basic Thugonomics, which was, don't judge it. Nobody judged that sentence. That's what it was called. I didn't make it up.
I don't know if those words make sense, but it kind of works in this case. But the thing is, I mean, this isn't the first time WWE has gone down like the music road. Like, I remember having the Pile Driver album as a kid. Yeah.
Stand Back, the Vince McMahon cut. It's so cheesy and amazing.
I mean, how else was I supposed to have a copy of the Demolition theme song on cassette? And yes, I said cassette. Don't at me. I'm old. But I mean, even the WWE, the music collections, or sorry, WWF, I guess at the time, the music collections, there have constantly been fantastic songs for entrance music. But here you've got an entire CD featuring a wrestler, and it's a legit CD.
Not just a legit CD with good songs on it. It's one thing to produce an album. It's another thing to make it actually good.
Yeah. I mean, you take a look at Fozzy with Chris Jericho at the helm, right? And that first album, I mean, that was when they had this like weird shtick about Fozzy. But then Fozzy turned into a real band, and some of the songs that they were putting out were like, holy crap, this is an absolute banger. John Cena right off the bat, and yes, I recognize, I say right off the bat because he's only got one album out there, so it kind of feels like a one and done episode, but it's not like this was, oh, you're trying to rap, it's so cute. There's some legit hardcore beats on this.
He could go. Like, he had chops, and I think that's why when this came out, I remember it being a very big thing. Like, I knew a lot of people who had a physical copy of this. Not just because they were wrestling fans, but it was kind of an oddity in the rap industry as well. Because all of a sudden, out of the blue, here's, a guy who's making huge waves in WWE, and he comes out with this more than competent album, especially for the time. It really is a product of its time, rap-wise. It's very hip-hop, lyric inspired. It's not like new rap, as I call it, which I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of. It's very catchy. It was hard to pick my spin and my shuffle for this.
Well, let's get started then with your spin off of John Cena's You Can't See Me album.
I went with Bad Bad Man. That was my number one with a bullet, and I knew it was going to be. This is the one that, like I said, is still on my workout playlists to this day. It was played in hockey dressing rooms a lot. This was the one, when I heard the album, that I wished he would have taken to be his theme song, quite honestly.
I mean, I can see that, and yes, it makes sense. Now, when he was a heel, it would have been up good.
Yes, would have made so much sense back when he was a heel, which he was at the beginning of this kind of like rap phase.
Yeah, I mean, My Time Is Now is very much like the face kind of pop kind of entrance music. Bad Bad Man definitely would have been that heel track. It's kind of like when Undertaker kind of went to the Limp Bizkit track, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we remember
rolling,
but also no. But anyways, no. Undertaker has to have the classic iconic entrance.
If you don't got
music.
the bell, if you don't have the bell, there's no point. The bell is what sells the entire thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary. and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
This is the sound of your ride home with Dad after he caught you vaping. Awkward, isn't it? Most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine and disappointment. Know the real cost of vapes. Brought to you by the FDA.
You know what's funny? For my spin and for my shuffle picks, I didn't go with any of the singles.
Wow. See, that goes to show how good the album is, though.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you know me and our listeners, if you've tuned into any of the episodes, you know that I'm a rock guy. I'm a metal guy. Rap is not necessarily my genre de choix, as we will say. I'm trying to make that sound fancy. But I do know a good song when I hear it. So when I heard Make It Loud.
Oh, wow. The one that uses the sample from him hyping up the crowd in a WWE event.
Absolutely. And the thing is, though, this song is one hell of a fun bop. I mean,
it is.
It reminded me a little bit, and I don't know how deep your rap history goes, but it reminded me of Third Base, Words of Wisdom and the Gas Face. So that was the kind of the vibe that I was getting off of this song. And to kind of give it a bit of a metaphor, yes, there's a lot of live sampling going on in there. There's a lot of crowd noise, whatnot, which kind of works for a song called Make It Loud. But I kind of describe this song as a top down on the convertible kind of song. Like,
yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It's not a heavy rap song. It's not, something I wouldn't call it gangster rap by any stretch of the imagination. It's a bop.
Capital H hype up song.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you could see this being almost like a second song in the set list kind of performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Get the crowd on their feet. Get everybody ready for the rest of the night.
I can't believe my shuffle pick has this title, but I'm going to say it anyways because I was surprised at just how legit the city was going. So my shuffle pick is Don't F With Us.
Second song on the album.
Second song on the album. Of course they're going to put, My Time Is Now as the first song on the disc. And okay, no problem. It's the intro. Get it out of the way. You're entering into the CD. It makes sense. And then it's like, oh yeah, and by the way, did you think that we were going to be like, all playing for kids? No. The second song you get is a song called Don't F Us. And it's a banger. I wasn't expecting this kind of like hard hitting. And this kind of set the tone. Like, you had to start with My Time Is Now.
Yes, there's no other option, unfortunately.
I mean, if this was a concert, you're ending with My Time Is Now because it's the most popular song. But this basically says, this is a no holds barred CD. It's the only way I can describe it. And then this is the song that kind of proves that.
Yeah, it tells you the kid gloves are off. It tells you this is not going to be like your usual WWE licensed product, which this was. It was released under a banner with WWE, but it was very much a rap artist album. It was not a cash grab. It was not a, we're going to make money off of this character and do like kind of force something a little bit like they have before. It was John Cena going, no, I'm going to stretch my legs and like show some of the stuff that I've gotten saved up. And this is a really good kind of first canon of that.
And I think it's a smart move to do because had it been all, for lack of a better term, kiddie rap,
yeah,
then I think you would have neutered any chance of this CD actually being something and still being talked about today. I mean, they allowed John Cena the space to make the songs that he wanted to make, and no holding back, no messing around, no skimping on things. Like, this is legit, and I think it's a smart thing to do for WWE because then you allow the artistry to show. Like, if he had handcuffs on in the studio, it wouldn't have worked.
1,000%. That's the best way to put it. If he would have been kind of shackled to the censorship that the usual, Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown would have to adhere to, it would not have gone over very well, I don't think.
Yeah, no, that would be like letting Lillian Garcia do an album, say, okay, but it's just 7 versions of America the Beautiful.
That's another one maybe we could get into.
Because she's got CDs out there as well. I mean,
she does.
She's not these aren't the only wrestlers that have got discs out there. So somewhere down the road.
The aforementioned Macho Man one, I do think is going to have to get looked at some point.
Is it though? Is it really?
You make me do It's Not That Bad. I'm going to make you do this.
Okay, I'll give you that one. But what are you going to give us as your shuffle pick?
My shuffle pick is something a little bit different, as it's not nearly as intense as Don't With Us. It's actually the next song on the album, Flow Easy, also with Bumpy Knuckles. Really big fan of the team ups here, where he gets the feature. And this one is just really easy listening. It's my kind of rap, where it's kind of that old school hip hop Run DMC style rap, which is my favorite. Some of the newer guys that do this kind of stuff are like Classified out of the East Coast, Mind Flip, that kind of stuff. So it really, I'm not a big rap guy like you, but this one is easy listen. Another one that you can just put on when you're in the car going somewhere and you can bop your head along to it. Super, super fun.
Yeah, I was humming and hawing on that song because you're right. It does have a good groove to it. And yeah, that's basically that slow Sunday drive down the beachfront kind of song.
Yeah.
And, it's an easy going one too. Like it definitely isn't Don't Us. Let's be honest. But you're
definitely not.
But I do like the team up on it though. Like it adds a bit more to it. And it's not just a vanity project then for John Cena.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like he actually threw a lot at this to make it successful. And it worked, because this album is still talked in high regards by some people. They're like, no, that's one of the best licensed pieces of music WWE has put out cover to cover. And some of their entrance theme albums are pretty good.
Oh, hells yeah. I mean, you take a look, it's also some of the artists that have been involved with with Motorhead, Alter Bridge, doing Metalingus for Edge.
Yep, like 1,000%. Run DMC themselves collaborated with DX at a time. Living Color, CM Punk, Cult of Personality. Like, there are some songs who have almost become synonymous with wrestlers. The Final Countdown with Bryan Danielson in AEW.
Oh, absolutely. And even like the theme songs from the show themselves. I mean, you had Burn to the Ground from Nickelback being the theme song really from Raw. And before that, you had To Be Loved from Papa Roach. Over
Know Your Enemy. Yeah. Know Your Enemy by Green Day was for SmackDown for a long time.
Yeah, and then over on NXT, they had Welcome Home from Coheed and Cambria, which is fantastic freaking song.
Yeah, and like a really deep cut to be picked up and used for a wrestling show of all things. Like it.
I mean, deep cut if you're not into Coheed and Cambria, but keep in mind too, that song was also on Guitar Hero. So
yeah, that's true.
It kind of crossed over a little bit. Plus, Claudio Sanchez is a fantastic guitar player.
Yes,
but
very true.
That's for another episode. Before we get to our skip picks, I want to ask you, because we talked a little bit about the likes of Randy Macho Man Savage and Chris Jericho and John Cena and Lillian Garcia. Is there a wrestler in any federation today that you think has the chops to pull off an album?
That has the chops to pull off an album?
Like a legit album.
Like a legit one that's actually good. Yes, Swerve Strickland in AEW. The first African-American AEW champion. Swerve, not only one of the best wrestlers on the planet right now, he actually does have a budding rap career, and it's very good. He works with some of the producers that work with prominent rappers like Young Thug and stuff like that. He very much is in the space to be releasing some new music. He did release some rap stuff a long time ago, but since he kind of got really big and got enough money to really produce something to take a stab at a top 40 chart or something like that, I think he's got the chops to do it.
That would be interesting too, because that would be AEW kind of tapping into a different market as well, which I don't think they've really had a chance to tap into yet.
No, they're still growing. They've been around 5 years, but that's baby terms when you're talking about really making something stick in wrestling history.
So I guess if that actually happens and it takes off, then AEW can thank us, right?
Yes, 1,000%. We give them ideas every time we're here.
Right? But do they listen? No.
No. They rather take their billions of dollars.
One day One day they're gonna find this podcast and then be like, why weren't we listening to this all along? All right, so now it comes time. What's your skip pick?
Really, really appropriate that you said now is the time, because my skip is the time is now. But I have reasons. I slogged through the bad years of WWE when, unfortunately, due to no fault of his own, John Cena was the poster boy for like 10 years of WWE that were unwatchable television. The booking was terrible. He won everything. He squashed every talent that got themselves over supernaturally with the fans. So there was a time when I was not a Cena fan whatsoever, not just because I love Edge, he's from Toronto, because I was just like, oh my God, this guy again, we're getting another Randy Orton and Cena main event again. So for a long time, when the time is now hit, I just rolled my eyes, and that was my time to stop watching the show. The song has kind of stuck with me in that way. I wish he would just have gone back to the basic Thugonomics theme song later on in his career, because every time I hear that, I'm just, here we go, here he comes. Like,
I can get that, because there was a stretch during the Attitude Era. I remember shows where it's like every other block in the show, you would have to hear the DX theme.
Yeah,
because they would constantly be running down to the ring.
Exactly.
And it just became annoying after a while.
And that's kind of what it is with this. Again, of no fault of his own, it was the people making the decisions. And he still is one of the top 5 of all time, probably biggest superstars they'll ever have. But when the dark years were dark, I did not like to hear this theme song play, because it usually means, okay, end of the show, we know Cena's about to win.
Yeah, I still remember one Royal Rumble where he was the last entrant, and he wasn't supposed to be in the Rumble at all. He was coming back from injury.
Yeah, he tore his pec and somehow came back in 4 months, because he is a superhuman being. Like, there's something in his body that needs to be studied.
But the thing is, there was no internet chatter at all. There was no John Cena is spotted in the building kind of thing.
They kept it quiet, which I don't think is possible these days. I think that's one thing that is kind of ruined about a lot of things. There's very difficult to keep a secret for a live show or any kind of broadcast. Like, very hard to keep the Redditors of the world away from the information and avoid spoilers.
And let's be honest, there is no greater moment for an entrance theme song than the Royal Rumble, because you get the countdown from 10 as the next entrance about to come in, the buzzer goes, and there's a pause, and they're smart when they do the pause.
Yeah.
And
they give you a beat.
Yeah, exactly. And then, especially when it's one of those like little surprise entrances and you're like, oh my God, I haven't heard this song in forever.
I was just saying this to Joseph Whalen, who's also come on the show. I like the Royal Rumble better than WrestleMania, and I always have, because of that. They have set that match up to just be this perfect kind of exhibition of, okay, 2 minutes, and then you get to do the thing again where you count down from 10, and then, who's it going to be? And it's true. That's kind of a theme song testing ground in its own way, because if someone is over or not when their song hits. If people go crazy at the Rumble, you've done something right with the music.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, no, the Royal Rumble is the best pay-per-view of the year. Period. End of story. Doesn't matter how good the match is, even. It's just the excitement of the event. It's kind of like when Survivor Series first started, and it was something different. And then Elimination Chamber, it was something different and cool. WrestleMania is still, quote unquote, the showcase of the immortals, but it's kind of lost its luster. I think WrestleMania meant more when your main event on your weekend wrestling show was the champion versus some jobber like the Brooklyn Brawler.
Exactly. And the thing about Mania is now they've almost given us too much pie. You know what I mean? We've had too much good. It's too much. It's 2 days, 7 to 9 hours a piece.
Yeah.
Right. And you have WrestleMania week leading into and out of that event. They usually take place in the same city. So if you're talking all of the content just from WWE on WrestleMania weekend, you have Monday Night Raw, which is 3 hours, going to be 2 soon. I think that's what I've heard anyway. You have NXT, which is 2 hours. You have SmackDown, which is 2 hours. Then you have 2 days of WrestleMania, plus the Hall of Fame induction if you're feeling crazy about it. So you're looking at like almost 2 calendar days worth of wrestling content. And that's just for WWE, because most other major promotions have an event on WrestleMania weekend to cash in on the pop culture wave that comes through, right? So you have on the Friday before WrestleMania, usually in the city of choice, there's like 20 or 30 different indie shows happening too. So it's oversaturation. When I was a kid, WrestleMania was one Sunday.
Yeah.
And that was the hype. You got a 5-hour lightning in a bottle. Okay, everything we've got 5 hours. Let's do it. Now things do go a little bit slower. There is more like promos and advertisements. They've stretched it out over 2 days and kind of given everything time to breathe, which works, but it usually ends up just being one day is really good and the other one is like, eh.
Yeah. Oh, we could diatribe for wrestling for days.
Oh, yes, we could.
Just days. All right. My skip pick. You talked about Bad Bad Man as your spin pick. And you had My Time Is Now as your skip. So we're missing one of the 3 singles off of this one. And I'm sorry, but John Cena in a heartfelt slow jam is just not hitting it for me right now. Is my skip pick. It's just, I don't know. Like the keyboards were not doing anything for me on it. The song kind of drags. And the other thing too is it's early on in the CD, and I'm just like, I
was thinking that if they put it closer to the end, it would be a little less of a momentum derailer, which is kind of what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think had there also been more songs like that on there, maybe it wouldn't have felt like an outlier, or maybe you put it like kind of in the middle of the CD. But
it is an outlier. It's like you said, so smack bang on. It doesn't make much sense compared to the rest of the stuff. And it doesn't lend itself to his strengths.
Yeah, no. John Cena and a Casio keyboard doing a slow jam, just not happening. All right, Lyle, remind our listeners what your spin, shuffle, and skip picks are from John Cena's You Can't See Me album.
So my spin is and will always be Bad Bad Man. My shuffle is Flow Easy, and my skip is The Time Is Now, because it never is anymore.
All right, and my spin pick is Make It Loud. My shuffle is Don't F With Us, and my skip is Right Now. Lyle, thank you so much. Now, please remind our listeners where they can find you out there on the interwebs.
You can find me at 640 Toronto, either on Let's Talk with Danny Stover or on the Kelly Contreras Show live. You just any time of the day, really. My voice is kind of all over it now. So yeah, tune in on the Radio Player Canada app, or if you're in the city, AM 640 on the radio dial.
All right, Lyle, don't worry. We have much more lined up for you in future spin, shuffle, skip episodes. And I know we're gonna have to find that Randy Savage CD.
Oh yes, absolutely.
All right, guys, you know the drill. If there is a CD out there that you want us to cover on Spin, Shuffle, Skip, or an artist that you want us to cover on There Can Only Be One, hit us up on social media at OnlyOneCast or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out all of our other shows. Until next time, he's Lyle. I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Spin, Shuffle, Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.